Piers Morgan had a panel on his show to discuss the UnitedHealthcare CEO shooting, and on that panel was Taylor Lorenz. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Taylor Lorenz is a former journalist and writer for the New York Times, as well as the Washington Post. Not only did she celebrate Brian Thompson's death, but she is also openly saying that she and quote-unquote we hope for all of their deaths, all referring to CEOs of all these healthcare insurance companies. And let me tell you, it was great to finally see someone in the mainstream media hold her feet to the fire. Take a look.
I disagree. Let's move to the other story, because Taylor's been waiting patiently here. So this issue of Brian Thompson, one of the top healthcare executives in the country, I'm just curious why your first reaction would be to his cold-blooded execution. And people wonder why we want these executives dead. And then you later commented when people were giving you a lot of blowback, I'm not alone, you said. Healthcare executive down with party balloons was on an ex post that you commented on. Why would you be in such a celebratory mood about the execution of another human being? Aren't you supposed to be on the caring, sharing left where you believe in the sanctity of life?
I do believe in the sanctity of life. And I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like...
Serious?
I mean...
Joy at a man's execution?
Maybe not joy, but certainly not empathy. Because again...
We're watching the footage. How can this make you joyful? This guy's a husband, he's a father, and he's being gunned down in the middle of Manhattan. Why does that make you joyful?
Of Americans that he murdered. So are the tens of thousands of Americans, innocent Americans, who died because greedy health insurance executives like this one push policies of denying care to the most vulnerable people. And the many millions of Americans that have watched people that I care about suffer and in some cases die because of lack of health care.
So should they all be killed then? Should they all be killed, these healthcare executives? Would that make you even more joyful?
No, that would not.
But why not?
And,
why are you laughing?
I think because it wouldn't fix the system.
You seem to find the whole thing hilarious.
I find your question funny.
A bloke's been murdered in the street. I don't find it funny at all.
I don't find it funny that tens of thousands of Americans die every year and because they are denied life-saving health care from people like the CEO. Now, I want to fix the system. You're right. We shouldn't be going around shooting each other with vigilante justice. No. I think that it is a good thing that this murder has led to America, or really the media elites and politicians in this country paying attention to this issue for the first time. You mentioned you couldn't understand why somebody would feel this reaction when they watched a CEO die. It's because you have not dealt, it sounds like, with the American healthcare system in the way that millions of other Americans have.
I've dealt with the healthcare system in various ways in America. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but the idea that I would view it as something...
Have you been denied life-saving treatment?
The idea that I would view it as something joyful that a man who's just a healthcare executive, has been executed in the street, I find completely bizarre. Let me bring in Tommy here. Yeah. Tommy, I keep being told... Hang on, Taylor, I'll come back to you.
Okay,
Tommy,
don't say I'm joyful. I said
you said you were feeling joyful.
Yeah, I take that back. Joyful is the wrong word, Piers.
You think?
I said, as I clarified,
you think?
Yeah.
You think joyful is the wrong word? Yeah.
Sure,
I'd say it is.
Vindicated, celebratory, because again, it feels like justice in this system when somebody responsible for the deaths of tens of thousands of Americans suffers the same fate as those tens of thousands of Americans who he murdered or
Tommy, whether Taylor wants to retract the word joyful or not, we all heard her say it, and I was just shocked. I mean, I find that kind of response utterly shocking, that someone could be murdered in the middle of Manhattan, who happens to be an executive for a healthcare company.
Taylor Lorenz says she wants to take back that word joyful. However, she's been posting all over social media with these celebratory balloon emojis. She is not hiding her emotions at all. She is very clearly joyful. The only reason she tried to walk that back is because she actually got pushback from Piers Morgan. By the way, fun fact, I believe as of this morning, but this for sure has happened. So, like I mentioned previously, Taylor Lorenz used to be a journalist for both the New York Times and the Washington Post. Well, she was working for Vox, but Vox apparently fired her. They no longer want to work with her, or they may not have fired her, but they've definitely parted ways within the last 12 or 24 hours. Hello, Kitty, that is your tale. Second of all, this notion that this is the first time that media elites and people in Washington, D.C. are paying attention to healthcare. What do you think the Obamacare debate was about back a decade ago? When Obama was in office, that entire conversation, if I'm not mistaken, was about rising healthcare costs and trying to wrestle with that and trying to bring them down. And by the way, have costs gone up or gone down since then? At the end of the day, this is about right, this is about wrong. At the end of the day, this is about law and order. And I presume, I know that I also have many liberals who watch my channel, but I presume that the vast majority of people, of viewers who watch my channel are conservatives or have voted for Donald Trump. And one of Trump's big pillars, a huge part of his doctrine is law and order. And shooting someone in the back, whether it's a healthcare CEO or just any CEO of any industry that has huge prices, is that law and order? Is that following the rule of law? Is that actual justice, or is that vigilantism? Because to me, there is a very clear-cut, distinct difference there, and I'm really glad that Scott Jennings is taking this to task on CNN.
If you're on the American left tonight, here's my chart. The good guys today, Daniel Penny. The bad guys, Luigi Mangione. It seems to me,
how do you?
Everybody
what's
on the
the
left,
chart for victims?
I'm just telling you what I see out in the world.
I know.
What
I just want you to finish the
today.
chart. Which victim is good and which victim is bad.
What I'm telling you is
that's not on the second page.
People on the left can't
Scott,
seem to tell the difference between the good guys and the bad guys.
I'm not asking you about people on the left. I'm asking you whether you consider this person.
We had people praising Luigi.
I want to know whether you think that, as Congressman Crane does.
So there you have it. Now, I've heard the last name of Luigi's last name pronounced many different ways, but if anyone has a definitive answer, let me know. But until I hear otherwise, I'm going to say it how Scott said it, which is Mangione. Well, Luigi Mangione was apprehended yesterday, and just within the last hour, there was footage taken of him being brought to court. Now, he actually started shouting at the media, and there is a lot of debate and speculation as to what he said. Now, I have extracted the audio and put it into an AI, which purports to transcribe audio. And by the way, that's what I use for my closed captioning. But even with the AI, it came out with different possibilities. And as I'm listening, I can hear the different things that people are arguing he's saying. So let me know what you hear in this particular clip.
Down. Oh
my God, that's completely out of touch. And an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
I didn't hear the beginning, but what I personally heard was, is out of touch, is an insult to the intelligence of the American people, and let's actually play that again, because, yeah.
Down.
Oh my God, that's completely out of touch.
Is really out of touch is what I hear there.
An insult to the intelligence of the American people.
And an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
Lived experience.
And their lived experience. There are people on social media who did not hear it that way. So if you hear something different, let me know. Or if you think that my transcription is the right one, also feel free to let me know down in the comments down below. This is obviously going to be a very interesting case as it moves forward. And I'm really excited because, as I've sort of alluded to in my previous uploads, I've been getting pretty into philosophy, ethics, been reading different essays and papers even before this case started, and been getting into how to form arguments, and not just, how we argue online, but actual legally sound arguments. I'm not studying to become a lawyer. Yes, I have lawyers in my family, but It's just, I believe that education is always ongoing, and it is something that I've always been interested in learning about, the different types of logical fallacies, how to spot them, how to identify them, how to avoid them, and as well as the legal justifications for different situations. So I'm really excited as I've been diving into this new area of knowledge for me personally. I'm excited to go through this case in real time with everyone and share maybe those perspectives as well as learn from everyone watching. Now, there was this crazy case where a man bought a Mazda and he wanted to return it to the dealership. They said that the car was sold as is, that he couldn't return it. And he said, I'm going to drive the car into your dealership if you don't take it back. And they said, no, we're not going to take it back. We already told you it's going to be sold as is. Well, it turns out the guy was true to his word. Take a look at this.
Shit! I wasn't, huh? I told you motherfuckers.
Whoa! Whoa, shit.
Call the cops!
Yeah, that guy's definitely going to jail. Absolutely crazy. But can I just say, I don't know a lot about Mazdas, but that car looked like it was in great shape. I was expecting it to be dented and banged up, and it still looked like it was in pristine condition. So I wonder if that dealership is going to try to resell that car to someone else and be like, nope, as is, even if there's like a scratch or two on it. But I can't imagine. People are crazy. I can't imagine having that sort of temperament and just doing that out in the world. It takes a different type of person for sure. So yesterday I talked about Christopher Wray and how he's going to have to be let go in order for Kash Patel to come in. But the Washington Times is reporting that FBI Director Christopher Wray is preparing to resign as of right now from the information that's coming out. This is either going to happen on Inauguration Day itself or perhaps before Inauguration Day, but all the reports seem to suggest that he doesn't want to go through the embarrassment of being fired by Donald Trump, so he is proactively just going to resign from the position, and that will clear the way for Kash Patel. And speaking of Kash Patel, he has met with Joni Ernst, and Joni Ernst appears to have signaled that he has her support, so that is very good news. We've been told for quite some time now that Kash Patel and everyone does have the votes to move forward. And yes, that includes Pete Hegseth. So over on Fox News, they were talking about this. And even Bret Baier was talking about how the momentum has shifted to be behind Pete Hegseth and in his favor.
If you think about Senate nomination as a war, Pete is like winning the battles, like the skirmishes, like every day just chipping away at it, Brett.
Yeah, 100%. Good morning. I think that there is this growing optimism with the president-elect and his team that they are making progress and that Pete Hegseth is starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, that maybe there will be fewer than 3 senators who vote against him. That's not to say there's not going to be tough questions and hearings, that there could be stumbles, there could be other things. It's not complete optimism, like sure thing, but there is a growing optimism, not only on Pete, but Kash Patel, it seems like he has support for FBI director.
Yeah, and Joni Ernst, by the way, not only met with Kash Patel, but she also met with Pete Hegseth. And from what I'm seeing, it sounds like Joni Ernst is warming up to him now that she's actually met him and had a chance to ask him those tough questions in person. The reports seem to suggest that it wasn't actually Joni Ernst who was against Pete Hegseth, but rather her chief of staff. And her chief of staff allegedly was filtering out the information that Senator Ernst was getting, and that was tainting her view of Hegseth as a nominee. So if those reports are true, it'll be interesting to see how this plays forward and as how everything moves forward as we approach the nomination confirmation. Oh, how did this get on the screen? I have no idea. I'm going to take that off. But yeah, the very interesting photo of the suspect there. A whole new view, so to speak. And speaking of the View, a lot of people don't like them on ABC, but Rob Schneider appeared on Fox News and he announced that he is launching a brand new show. Now, he did not reveal the name of the show, but it is going to be an all-female panel, and they are going to compete directly with The View. And I don't know about you, but just hearing about this makes me really excited. Here you go.
Okay, the big announcement. What's happening?
Well,
No Apologies Media, my new company. We're going to do a all-ladies talk show that won't be like The View.
Is it the opposite of The View?
It could be, but we're just going to do a show that it'll be the opposite because this will be entertaining.
Okay.
It'll be funny.
Yeah.
We'll have funny women on it. They're going to tell jokes and have funny stories and health and wellness.
Is the idea to go after The View at the same time slot? Are you going, it's a competitor?
We're going to compete with them, yeah. I don't know if the same time slot. We're not going to announce who's doing the show yet, but that's what's happening now, and it's official. So now we're moving ahead.
Give us a timeline.
January, we're going to start shooting shows before the inauguration.
Are you talking to people? Are you talking to famous people, women that you like?
Yes, we have a lot of women we like, and it's household names, and you're going to love it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a funny show. Not going to be like drowning people in politics. It's not going to be shaming people and making people wince.
I love that. I think that's exciting. I'm definitely going to tune in, going to check it out. It'll be interesting to see what the show is like. Now, most new shows usually take some time to get their bearings and to get rolling along. So I'm going to check it out, and I'm going to tune in periodically to see how the show evolves and grows, and we'll see if it becomes a juggernaut and can compete with the women over on The View. One more story before I start to respond to some viewer comments. So yesterday I showed you the Trump interview with Kristen Welker, but there was one clip that I left out, and I just wanted to share it with you all today.
All evidence.
Let me ask you this about January 6th.
I wish you could be you have such potential. If you could be just non-biased, you hurt yourself so badly. I'm telling you, they deleted and destroyed all the evidence. Everyone knows it. And you slough it off like it doesn't mean anything.
No, I'm just saying they deny it. That's all I'm saying.
Kristen, if I did it, you would be standing up in that chair shouting at me. And you know what I'd do? I'd say, you got me. They have done something so illegal. They have a committee sworn to, and because it was so bad, the only reason they did it is because the testimony turned out to be in favor of me.
Trump is so back. Well, one of the Trumpiest moments I have seen in a while. So comments I want to respond to, a big slew of them right here. So there are actually 3 comments here. They were all written back to back. This first one, I'm going to respond to the first one and the bottom one. I honestly hate your new shtick at the end where you argue with commenters, and you can read that. You can pause it if you want to see that comment. I wouldn't necessarily, I'm going to read a mix of comments, both negative as well as positive. And my point here isn't to debate with commenters, but so first and foremost, I am very open about being an analysis and commentary channel. I don't view myself as a straight news journalist. And so my intention with this is to also provide analysis by responding to comments, because people have opinions about the news stories, and they may be different from my own. And I think it is fun for me to analyze the news stories by responding to viewpoints that are different from my own. For example, a lot of shows, I'm breaking a record here 3 times in a row. A lot of shows will have, like Piers Morgan, will have people on his program who disagree with him. And I think that gets really interesting to watch, that sort of back and forth. I'm not at that stage where I can bring on people and have these debates, but I do find that interesting. However, if it is not interesting for the audience, let me know down below. And that's why I wanted to start with that comment, because I wanted to explain why I've started responding to comments. Number one, I think it gives me, I think 2 reasons, 2 big reasons, a lot of reasons, but the 2 primary ones would be, number one, I think it gives me another avenue to provide analysis and commentary. Number 2, I think my hope is that it engages the community more, and it's not just me yapping at my iPhone, but actually taking the time to read comments, understand people's point of view, see where everyone is coming from, so that hopefully also shapes my videos. Not that I'm trying to cater to people, but hopefully just knowing, hey, this really is, I view it anyways, as an ongoing discussion. But if it's not enjoyable, if it's not coming across that way, just let me know. And then I wanted to refer to the last comment, because they talked about timestamping my videos, which I have started timestamping, I believe, my last 3 uploads. So if it's not showing up for anyone, please let me know, because since it is new to the channel, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but there should be timestamps now. And I'm always saving the comment responses for the very end, so that way I get to the news first. Next comment, if people believe healthcare CEOs are directly responsible for deaths, then logically, consumers also share responsibility for the exploitation of third world child labor. And you can pause this if you want to read the rest of that comment. And I agree. I actually almost mentioned this yesterday when responding to comments. And I think the same thing was true. So I shared that meme that's going viral on Blue Sky of someone pointing a gun at Elon Musk. And my point there was that if people are justifying the death, the assassination of this healthcare insurance CEO, they're going to use it against other billionaires. And if we accept this as a society, we are really going down a slippery slope. And I used that meme of pointing a gun at Elon Musk as evidence. Another example is that there are a lot of vegans in the world. The share of vegans appears to be growing year after year if we believe the statistics. And I'm not saying I agree with them, but I can understand the argument that some vegans would make too. There are a lot of vegan extremists who think that killing animals is cruel, that especially ones that don't believe in God, that believe that humans are just also animals, but just more evolved, and there is no difference between animals and humans. I'm not saying I believe that, but there are a lot of vegans who believe that. Would they be right to start killing us because us being meat eaters, or these mass farm producers that slaughter chickens and cows? I think that this twisted logic that people are applying to the CEO can be applied or misapplied to other instances as well. And so I thought that was an interesting comment to point out. As a disabled American veteran, I can't for the life of me understand why anyone would want government healthcare. I think you are spot on with this. And I think if we take a look at anything that the government runs, it is just worse. I would much rather, yes, it is more expensive. If it was like a really important package, I would choose FedEx. Now, if I'm going to mail something, of course, I'm going to go through USPS. But how is like the United States Postal Service always running in a deficit? It just blows my mind, and they lose things all the time. We take a look at the education system and even Social Security. I don't think anyone my age is realistically planning on using Social Security funds to retire, because I don't even think Social Security will be around for when it's time for my generation to retire. And I think that also applies to healthcare. If it's just anything the government does, I think we also need to have a backup plan or another option at least. Thank you, Daniel, for your commentary. You're my new favorite. Thank you so much, Beer Can. My comment is that I'm a 90s kid, and if we can get Kash Patel, 90s kids, yes. As FBI director, we can revisit the OKC bombing, Ruby Ridge, Waco, Texas incident, and a lot of others. One thing that's really of interest to me, and especially because of the new Netflix documentaries, the John Bonet case. Now, I don't know if the FBI would not necessarily get involved with that, because the border police seem to have they seem to be the ultimate authority on that case, and they've been sloppy, to say the least. I doubt we'll ever get answers on that, but that is personally one case where I just want to know. I want to know, and I think we need justice. Your tuxedo is gorgeous. I know. Daniel, as a Filipino, what can you say about Filipinos in the Philippines who mock Trump supporters abroad? You know what? It's fine. I think, obviously, it bums me out, but at the same time, I don't expect, and not just Filipinos in the Philippines, I think this is true for any foreign country. I don't expect them to be paying attention to American politics all the time. We also have to remember that their media usually doesn't have actual reporters here on the ground. Their media is usually recycling whatever the Associated Press puts out or whatever CNN is putting out, because CNN is international. And I believe the last time I checked, this may have changed within the last 5 years, but the last time I've done research into it, CNN had a larger international footprint than Fox News. So not just the Philippines, but I think in most foreign countries, I wouldn't expect them to get the full truth and to understand the nuances of politics over here, especially when politics everywhere around the globe seems to be absolutely crazy right now. Meg says, Daniel, you have the right take on the CEO's assassination. The CEO is gone. And guess what? I still worked on resolving UHC denials today. Nothing has changed. And I think there are unintended consequences too. For example, what if these healthcare insurance companies decide to start spending radically more on security, not just for the CEOs, but what if they start spending for security for everyone on the board of directors or all the managers in all their different departments? Personal security is super expensive. Is that not going to jack prices up, especially if they don't change what they choose to cover or not? Last comment, you really do give an excellent analysis. I appreciate that, Alexandra. And as always, on that note, all of this is just my analysis and commentary. That is what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So, a lot of stories today. Usually I have a very specific question. I'm looking at my list of stories, and I don't have a specific question. It'll be an open comment day today. Let me know your thoughts on any of these stories or all of these stories. And it's specific story. Do you like this question, comment, answer, response thing at the end of the videos, or do you find it to be a waste of time? My goal here is to, first and foremost, be informative, be thought-provoking, and then hopefully also somewhat entertaining. But if the new shtick at the end isn't serving any of those purposes, let me know and I'll definitely cut it off, because I want to be respectful of all of y'all's time. My goal is not to waste anyone's time. Time is a precious, limited resource for all of us, so I want to make the best use of it possible. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me in the algorithm to reach more viewers like you. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.